It's a little preview of the fling gesture animation using reanimated and reanimated gesture. We can customize it as you. Alrighty guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome everyone. Really curious to see where are you watching from. Alrighty, let me close those guys here. Can you see my screen? Can you see everything? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Anyway, Porto, nice. Alrighty, so we are going to create a stack cards animation in React Native using reanimated and gesture handler. So let's start, because there is a little bit of work. I'm gonna, yeah, we are going to use fling gestures. Okay, let me show the code here. Okay, so let me walk you through what we have so far here. So I have created this boilerplate using Expo. So if you don't know how to create one, well, it's quite simple actually. You need to go to your terminal and type npx expo create expo app -t, and then the template is going to be a blank TypeScript template, and then yeah, just name your project your next awesome project, right? Type enter, and Expo is going to grab this TypeScript blank template and create a folder with it, and yeah, install all the dependencies and everything. So I already did that, and in addition to this one, I have also created some boilerplate. I'm gonna share this boilerplate with you let me actually create here a new window just to ensure that I'll have the boilerplate, but I'll share the link to the boilerplate. Basically, we will have some layout configuration here. We are going to have max visible items, basically how many items you like to display as a stack, some colors, and then a component called card that's going to receive some information. And the info, it's looking like this. So it's a collection of objects. Each individual item is going to have an ID, a role, type, from, to, duration, and distance. Basically, yeah, this one, it's the type, some duration, and whatnot, right? So the data, it's up to you, whatever you are going to display inside it. I'm just adding those just for design purposes or UI purposes. So yeah, here it can be whatever. You are going to decide what are you going to display here. And in addition to that, I also have this location image copied from a Medium post by Miro. Yeah, you'll also have access to this data. But this card, I'm overwriting those. I am mapping through this data. Right now, I'm just displaying one item just to show you the UI. Hey everyone! Wow, India, France, Argentina, nice. Okay. Anyway, so I'm mapping through this data, right? And for each individual card, for each individual item within that collection, I'm rendering a card. I'm passing the information, the key to avoid React to complain about, hey, I lost track of everything. The index of each individual card. This is going to be quite important. You'll see in a minute why. And the total length, basically, how many data you're displaying. So I'm displaying just one for now. I'm slicing the collection, and inside the card, I'm getting this data, the total length index, and the info, which is the type of the first item from the data, and I'm displaying some things just for UI purposes, right? And now if I'm going to the slice, and let's say I'll have 4, you see that each one is displayed relatively, right? And what we would like to do is to actually create this stack of items that are going to be displayed on top of each other or behind each other with this tunnel kind of like propagation. And we are going to rely on the index to display that and to assign a different scale and translate y. And we are going to use fling gesture in order to change the active item. So let's start by creating the UI for that. So I'm going to remove the slice here, and inside this so now everything is looking really bad kind of, but anyway, so actually let's create a fling gesture. So let me also add here the slice back. And I'm going to use the fling gesture to modify the position of the item along with the active index, right? So basically based on the current index, I'm going to change the based on the direction of the fling, I'm going to change the the active index, right? And if we are going to have some time, by the way, we are going to also display a menu using left and right fling gestures. Alright, so first let's create the the actual fling. So for that we are going to use let me take this phone here. So we are going to get the fling up, which is going to be a gesture. I'm going to import a gesture from React Native gesture handler, right? Fling up, and we are going to apply a fling, and direction is going to be directions dot up. So when you fling up, I would like to go to the previous item. So I will have here on start, and I will say fling up, right? And also let's apply the same for duplicate this one, fling down. The direction is going to be down, and on start I'll have fling down. We are going to do something with this eventually, right? Okay. And we also need to have here an active index, which is a use shared value. So we are going to use reanimated for that, right? And now with these gestures, we would like to compose those and make them exclusive. You'll see in a minute why, and apply to this entire view. So if I'm going to say here background color red, you'll see that this is going to take the entire space, and I'm applying a box none because I don't want to receive events, or I want to have the gesture go through this particular box, so that's why. But anyway, so when you fling inside this box here, I would like to get the events for the gesture. So to do so, we need to wrap into this this view with a gesture detector. So I'm going to have a gesture detector. Again, my laptop is quite slow. Anyway, so here we need to apply a gesture, and the gesture is going to be gesture dot, and I'm going to make an exclusive fling up and fling down. Fling down. Basically, this is what was this saying? It's either fling up or fling down gesture, so you cannot do both simultaneous. If you want to do both simultaneous, you can add a simultaneous here, but I would like to keep it simple as exclusive, right? So now nothing should change, but if I open the terminal here and let me open it up more and do fling down, you see it's a fling down here. I think that you cannot see because I'm okay. So it's fling down, fling up, right? So if I move the thingy up and down, everything is going to work. So now what we are going to do with it? Well, we are going to modify this active index based on the current position. So if it's fling up, I would like to decrease it, right? So I will say active index dot value, it's plus equal 1. But I would like to say if the active index is equal to 0, I don't want to do anything. So I'll just say return, right? So if it's menu data, actually data length, I don't want to do anything, right? So if it's up, it's decreasing, sorry. So if it's up, so if I moved up this, right, I should bring the car from the bottom to the top, so it's going to decrease the index. So it's we are going to decrease it, otherwise we are going to increase it. So we are going to say active index dot value plus equals 1, right? So yeah, we are going to increase it, but I will also like to avoid going more than how many items are already available for us. So it's if this is actually the length, I'm going to return. All right, and right now if I'm going to say this active index is going to change, right, based on the flange issue. Hop, 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 hop. But I would like to apply a timing function. So with timing, I will say to the new value, which is going to be active index value -1, and with a duration of the duration specified here at the top, right? And let's apply the same for this one. And the reason why I'm using timing here is because I would like to interpolate this active index, which I'm going to send to each individual card. So now this card can receive the active index, which is going to be the active index. Now if I'm going to this card, active index, and active index is going to be shared value as a number, and now we have this shared value, which is going to go as a float with decimals, right, from whatever to whatever, and based on each we can actually interpolate things. Okay, so we are going to have here styles, which is use animated style, and we are going to return something. And first of all, I would like to position everything absolute, right? So if I go back to this slice and display everything here, you'll see in a minute that the position absolute. Okay, so we are going to display whatever, how many items do we have, and we also need to apply this animated style to an animated view. So I'm going to change this to be an animated view, import animated from React Native animated and reanimated, and apply the styles. And now everything is going to hopefully sit on top of each other, right? This is complaining, of course, missing close tag. Right, so everything is visible. If you don't believe me, I'm also going to add here an opacity of 0.5, let's say. So you'll see that everything is stacked on top of each other. So now we have some styling, and first of all I would like to modify the z-index, because you see after applying a position absolute, the first visible item, it's actually the last item from the list, because z-index is going to increase based on how deep you are inside the tree, right? So we would like to kind of like revert, right, the order using let me change the bit here. Based on the length of the data, right? So it's going to be z-index is going to be the not the total length, but yeah, total length minus the index. Basically, we are going to start from when is the first item. We are going to have the z-index the biggest amongst the items from the list, right? So now if I hit save, you'll see that initially is going to be the first item. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Anyway, so now I would like to also apply a different transform. So let's create this stack thingy. So the stack is going to be a transform, of course, and we are going to scale the items. And how we are going to scale? Well, it's quite Interesting. So we are going to interpolate this active index value, and we are going to have we are going to target based on the current item index. We are going to say when you are the next item that are going to be moved is going to be basically index -1 index and index +1. So I'm targeting the neighbors, right? So if its index is the current visible item, if its index -1 is the top one, if its index +1 is going to be the bottom one, right? Let me also interpolate. And what we are actually what we would like to do with this index -1. So if it's the item that's going to be animated, we are going to apply, let's say, 0.96. Otherwise, if it's the active item, is going to be 1. And if it's at the bottom, we are also going to have the scale 1. Basically, I'm trying to inform the interpolation. This is how the item may look like using this particular input range. So if I hit save now, you'll see that, and also apply an opacity here of 0.1 just to make everything visible. You'll see that we are going to create this zoom effect kind of, right? But the problem is that the items are not moved along based on the index itself, right? So we are scaling properly the items. Let me actually do a different slice here. So if I do slice, just to have everything more visible, slice, it's 0 and 5, let's say, right? So you'll see, so it's tick, 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 right? But we would like to move this one up a bit, right? And to do so, let me remove the slice. So in order to do that, we actually need to play with the translate. And along with the scale, I would like to first apply a translate. And again, we are going to interpolate the index because we would also like to animate things, right? So that's why we are actually interpolating things. So we are going to interpolate again the active index, and for the input range, we are going to define basically the same thing, right? Neighbors. It's the previous, current, or the next one. And what's going to happen here? Well, I would like to have to position it with minus on the y-axis with minus some gap, and I have already created this gap here, like these card gaps, and I'm going to say layout card gaps. Let's start slow here, just to see what I'm talking about. So what's saying, if it's index -1 is going to be minus cards gap. If it's index -2 is going to be layout card gaps multiplied by 2, because this is how actually linear interpolation is working, right? So if you are not going to clamp, the extrapolation is going to extend, right? So it's going to try to figure it out how this item is going to look like in the on this line. So if it's, I'm just defining index. On index, the y is going to be 0. On index -1 is going to be cards gap. So interpolation is going to figure it out. Okay, so now it's index -2. What's going to happen? Well, based on this formula, I'll determine that for index -2, the y value is going to be layout cards gap multiplied by 2, because it's going to be calculated based on the previous position, and so on and so forth. So this is a nice hack. But if I'm going to save, you'll see that everything is going to move up. You see, everything is going to move up because I have just defined one single interval, and based on this interval, the rest is going to basically work. And just to ensure that you actually understood everything, if I'm going to clamp it, extrapolate, clamp on the left hand side. So I will say, you know what, I don't care more than this index -1 and index interval. You'll see that we are not going to get this effect because for index for the second item, let's say, is not going to, like for this item here, is not going to take into account whatever is going to be above it. So everything is going to be positioned the first for the first item here, you see. So only the first item, then woof, nothing. So this is the power of extrapolate clamp. So now we have created this thingy, right? Let's also apply a different opacity, because we have defined here what's the maximum visibility, like max visible items length. So in my example, it's going to be 6, right? So I don't want to go more than 6 items. And to do so, we need to play with the opacity. And again, I'm going to interpolate the active index, but this time I'm going to apply some different output range. So again, index -1, index +1, but this time I would like to decrease the opacity based on the from 1 to be 0 when the index is actually the max visible items. And to do so, it's a pretty simple math formula, which is 1 minus, so we are going to start from 1, and we are going to say 1 divided by the max items length. So what's this saying? I will say, just give me a second. So based on this input range, we are going to say how much we need to subtract from 1 when you are the previous item, right? So in this way, the linear interpolation is going to do the math for index -2, index -3, index -4, exactly as we have for the gap, right? So in this case, I would like to say, so if the max visible item is going to be 2, let's say, we are going to make the first the active item opacity 1, and then the other one is going to be 1 minus 0.5, which is 0.5, right? And the third one is going to have opacity 0. The fourth one is going to be to have opacity 0, and so on and so forth, right? So this is the math formula. So now if I hit save, you see that we have the first item is going to be 1 opacity. The next one is going to be how many items do we have here? So it's going to be 6, right? So it's let me do a math. So actually it's simpler with 4. Simpler with 4, right? So we are going to have 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So the first item is going to be 1. The second one is going to be 1 minus 0.25, which is equal to 0, and the other one, and then come on, okay, and then the other one. So let me change the music here a bit. Okay, so this is how it is, right? So you are the first item from the active one is going to be going to have opacity 0.75. The next one is going to be 0.5. The next one is going to be 0.25, and then the other one is going to be 0, right? So in this way, we are going to display 4 items. If I'm going to say, all right, 6 items, it's going to be 1 divided by 6, which is 0. Almost 15. So it's 0.75, 85, 60. Yeah, you do the math. Anyway, it's quite nice. So this is actually how everything is working, right? But now the fling, it's actually working because we are animating. So if I fling, oops, the fling up, it's not yet implemented. So let me refresh. So Which one is integrated? So we need to fling down, right? Why is not working? This is not working. That's really bad. Where is the fling? Let's debug together. The fling. Where is the fling? Oh, of course, yeah. So the active item is going to be equal to a with timing, and then we are going to modify the things, right? So let me reload everything here. Silly. Gustavo fling. Nice. So you see, if I move down, you see the items are moving correspondingly, right? Corresponding to the gesture. So if I move up, you see those. Shall I make the? Let me do the duration a bit slower, so you are going to understand everything here. So if I move down, you see the items are moving. Whoop, up. And we would also like to move, if you fling down, this item should go down. And we need to modify the translate Y. And how to do it? Well, I would like to position it here, right? And to do so, I already have the card height defined here. So I will need to, instead of going when it's index +1 going to 0, basically stay in place, I would like to modify it to be layout height. Right, so it's going to be here, like at the edge, but I would like to move it up with the cards, minus the cards gap, right? So now you see it's here. I can, let me actually do plus just to see it here at about. You see it's here. So if I move down, if I move down, if I move down, if I move down, you see, whoop, up, 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 up. Notice this guy here. Woof. Everything is animated, right? Whoop. Move down, move down, move down, right? But I would like to keep it here visible pretty much, right? So I would like to decrease it and then place it here, right? So it's going whoop, 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 whoop. And I would like to, if you'd like to, so notice this one is moving now. It's moving, see? So if you'd like to keep it in place here, you can use the extrapolation. So notice that extrapolation means you have this segment, right? So you'd like to clamp. If it's outside of this input range interval, you don't care that much, right? So right now it's here. So let me move up a bit. Okay, so it's on the first item, right? So nothing is here. But now if I move down, this is for the index +1. But I don't care about index +2 anymore. So in this way, you can clamp the animation. So I will do extrapolate right this time. So you can think about extrapolation. I will say extrapolate clamp. Again, so I haven't pressed saved yet, but now if you go down, this crawler is going to also move, right? Because I have defined the interval, and this is how interpolation is going to work, right? But now if I'm here and hit save, basically I'm not interested in more than this interval, you'll see that the excavator is going to stay in place. You see? Whoop, whoop, whoop. So it's just a matter of what you'd like to achieve, right? With this type of thing. I think I'm going to... Oh, by the way, yeah, actually, just to make sure that the extrapolation, it's extend, so it's going to go beyond this interval. So yeah, woof, woof, woof. So yeah, the animation is quite nice. Yeah, I think we don't have enough time for the menu, but we could also have a fling left and right to display a menu. I already have the code, and I'm going to if I can add a shadow. Of course I can add a shadow. I can add a shadow right here to the card itself, right? So the card is going to have a shadow as well. So I'll say shadow, color is going to be colors, dark shadow, radius is going to be, let's say 10. We are going to change it. Shadow opacity is going to be 1. Shadow offset is going to be, let's say width 0, height 0. And also for the Android users, elevation, let's say 5. Right, so now we should have a little shadow, right? So it's the shadow. Let's play around with the opacity. So we would like to add the shadow only after the index, right? Because right now this is looking really bad here. So to do so, we can animate the shadow opacity, because why not? So here we are going to have a shadow opacity, which is going to interpolate the active index, and we are going to take index -1, index, and index +1, right? So previous, current, and next. And the output range is going to be 0 because we don't care about the items here. If it's the current item, we still don't care about the shadow, but otherwise it's going to be 1, let's say, right? So and we also need to extrapolate. Why is this complaining? Oh, there is no comma. So we don't care about the other items, right? Because in this way we are going to grow. We are going to grow the shadow, because you are going to stack on top of each other multiple items. So if you have shadow, a box shadow is going to like grow in size. So we don't want to do that. So now it should work, right? So only this item has a shadow. Just know this. Whoop, 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 whoop. You see the shadow, it's also like animated. You see? Let me do the duration. Let's say 2 seconds, right? So now if just notice that if I move this item down, it's going to animate the shadow. You see? Cool. If I move up, it's going to decrease the shadow opacity to this one, and so on and so forth. All right. So I think Andre, this actually was helpful to you, how to apply a shadow. Well, this is how you are going to apply a shadow. I mean the shadow opacity, it's it's too much, maybe 0.5 or something, just to make it just a subtle effect here, not too much. Right. All right, and now I actually have the final code that's going to also add the, let me grab it, also add a menu. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time in this live stream to go through this menu, but maybe tomorrow, after 1 month, we will see. We can do it, but it's I can walk you through the code. So basically we have the same effect here, right? So we have whoop, 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 right? So we move the item. But now if I fling to the left, you see? If I press on the backdrop, if I fling to the left, you see? Whoop. Fling to the left, whoop. The items are going to be displayed using a stagger. If I press on an about, it's going to close from bottom to top using the same stagger animation, and then it's going to do something, right? With it, whoop. Either pressing on the backdrop or fling to the right. My son it's awake, which is a good sign. And the way how I have constructed this, I have created the fling right, fling left, and created those two different gestures. For fling right, I would like to set the menu visible to false, basically fling like this, right, from left to right. If it's left, I would like to display the menu. I set the state with the using useState. Initially the menu is going to be hidden, and the menu itself is going to receive the menu, which is a list of items. It's up to you to decide what and what's the shape of this menu, but in my case it's a list of strings, and it's going to also receive the active menu index. So if you can change to settings, for example, and it's going to be index 3, right? What's going to happen on close and what's going to happen on menu press, and if the menu is visible or not. And if the menu is not visible, I'm going to return null. Otherwise, I'm going to take advantage of reanimated layout animations. So on entering, I have a fade in. On exiting, I have a fade out with a small delay, because this delay is because I'm waiting for the other items to be hidden. So I'm displaying a backdrop with a pressable on close, and also for each individual item, I'm going through the menu, and I'm displaying a pressable, and for each individual pressable, I'm displaying a text, and the text, it's an animated text, and I'm sending the entering and exiting. And for the entering, I'm saying this is the stagger animation. Apply a different delay when you are going to mount this text, right? So in this case, it's based on the index. For index 0, the delay is 0. For index 1, it's 50, 100, 150, and so on and so forth. And for the exiting, I would like to apply the stagger animation, but in reverse, right? So if you are, let me open up the menu. So if you are this item here, the last item, I would like to, so basically I'm applying the delay from top to bottom. So if you are the last item, the delay is going to be 0, right? 50, 100, 150, and so on and so forth. So in this way, if you pay attention to this one, when I'm closing the menu, it's going to start from logout to top. You see? Whoop. But when it's going to enter, it's going to be from top to bottom. Yeah. By the way, this is going to be available on animatereactnative.com. So if you don't have already a lifetime license, I suggest you to go buy it. There is this week I have a really big discount for you. So it's $1.99 for all animations. Usually it's $2.99 for all animations. And on top of this, I'm also adding the power purchase parity. So based on your location, you are also going to get another discount on top of that. So if it's 50%, it's going to take like $200 instead of $350, which is, I believe, value for buck. It's unmatchable. You'll get more than 105 different animations, including this one as well. So yeah, I hope that you liked this live stream session. You've learned something new, how to use gestures, how to use animations, how to animate a shadow, everything running at 60 FPS or 120. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's hundreds and thousands of hours of work. Actually, it's also based on my experience and the things that I have encountered. Yeah, during my dev time, from animations and yeah, how to structure everything. Most of the components are powered by reanimated. Some of them are copy pastable and reusable components. Some of them are just files that you can copy paste and adapt to your UI. Yeah, it's a lot of work behind the scene, how everything is actually working. So definitely worth checking it out. It's also for learning purposes. So if you wanna learn more about animations in general, there are quite a lot of tips and tricks. Yeah. And also this animation that I have just shown you with the stagger animation, there is a reusable component where you can wrap whatever views you'd like, and it's going to create the stagger animation. You can customize it, how to enter from top to bottom or from bottom to top, and how to exit from top to bottom and from bottom to top, which is called the direction. The enter direction, exit direction. You can also specify the type of animation, if it's a fade in, fade out, you name it. How to do this with dynamic heights? You can use measure. It's quite simple, and I think in a future live stream I can walk you through how to create this type of effect using dynamic heights, or basically if items have dynamic heights, which should be quite simple actually. Anyway, guys, it was nice catching up with you. Don't forget to share, subscribe, I don't know, do a bunch of things. Also consider buying a lifetime license for animatereactnative.com. And also, if you're a team, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I also have team licensing for a team of 3 members, 5 members, 10 members, 100 members, you name it. We already have some quite known teams that have already bought the license, and yeah, they're using it quite intensively. It's yeah, you can use in any commercial project, whatever. So yeah, I hope that you like this. Don't forget to just leave a comment afterwards. Give it a thumbs up. It's free. Everything is free. Thumbs up, subscribe, and add a comment. That will mean a lot to me. Otherwise, yeah, see you in 1 month now, because I'll be off chilling. I don't know when I'll be online, but yeah, stay tuned for that. And on this beat, I will say and leave you with don't forget to fail, come back, repeat, fail, come back, repeat. This is how you are going to learn things. This is how I learned things, and a lot of great developers went through hard work, dedication, and repetition. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.